All right, so today I'm going to be talking about numbness, which is the last of the big five emotions, the other four being mad, sad, glad, and scared. Now, numbness is an interesting emotion because often it doesn't get registered as one. And when I ask people, what are you feeling right now? Often the response is, I'm not feeling anything. So, in response to that, I give up a follow-up. Is it that you're feeling nothing right now, or is it that you're actually feeling numb? Because numbness is a feeling. So the person kind of thinks about it, and they're like, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on, but I kind of feel fuzzy or hazy or whatnot. So when numbness kicks in, the main message that it's communicating is that there's too much. There's too much stuff going on. There's too many things to pay attention to, too many voices. And it's really important to translate that into saying what you're needing. Numbness says that there's too much. So when numbness kicks in, what you're needing is less. Now, numbness can act kind of like an anesthesia where there's kind of this dampening effect. It helps to regulate how we are so that we can kind of tune everything out and zoom in on ideally what we really need to be focusing on. But when numbness kind of interferes with our day-to-day life, it's really important to intentionally give yourself less. So there are 4 ways of doing so, and these are all 4 S's, so that's pretty easy to remember. These are silence, solitude, stillness, and simplicity. Those are the 4. Silence, solitude, stillness, and simplicity. So when there's too much noise, either literal sounds in our environment or there's too much chatter on the inside, too many thoughts going on, too many opinions, too many cooks in the kitchen around a particular decision, silence means that we reduce the noise and we listen into that one quiet, still voice that we really need to tune into. And we do that by drowning everything out. Now, I'm also a highly sensitive person, so I literally have a lot of sensitivity to physical sound. So I literally have earplugs everywhere. I have them at home, I have them at work, and doing so helps me to tune out everything so that my body's not constantly bombarded by all these sounds that are happening. So, whether it be literal sensory sounds or, if you're trying to make an important decision, but there are too many other people's opinions, then sometimes it helps for you to take some time to tune out everyone else's opinions so that you really focus in on what you want and what you need. So that's silence. Now, the next one is solitude. Now, when I recommend that someone practice solitude, they're like, well, I already feel alone. I don't want to feel lonely. And there's a huge difference between solitude and loneliness, because loneliness is just not being around other people. Solitude is also not being around other people, but the purpose of it is specifically to connect with yourself. So I don't know when the last time you've taken, a good, sweet 2 hours where you're not attending to anyone else, you're not focusing on other people's emotions or needs, or you're not trying to reach out to other people, because sometimes that can pull us outside of ourselves. Solitude means to reconnect with yourself and with what you want and what you need. And that's actually a really important discipline. So, check in with when the last time you've had a good chunk of time to yourself, and deliberately build that into your schedule, and then see what happens, with your numbness. Now, the third one is stillness. I'm a therapist in the Silicon Valley, and I'm also an entrepreneur, so stillness is a really hard thing for me because I'm constantly on the move, and then I wonder why I feel so overwhelmed and numb afterwards. So stillness is a particular discipline of not doing. So, you can think about silence in terms of thoughts, solitude in terms of feelings, and stillness in terms of doing. So the act of not packing in your schedule with all these things that need to happen, sometimes we don't really need to do those things. But, especially in environments where busyness is taken as a badge of honor, it's really important to counter that culture by deliberately putting in time where you're purposefully doing nothing, or dare I say, purposefully being anti or counterproductive. Now, I have workaholic tendencies, so this is really personally difficult for me because I have a lot of anxiety that comes up when I'm still, and that's probably indicating that I need to do that more often. Because again, numbness kicks in to drown out certain really important emotions that really require our attention. So for yourself, if you take a bird's eye view on your schedule, ask yourself, is this too full? Is this too busy? Am I constantly, driving from one thing to the next? And do I seem like a chicken with his head cut off? Well, it might help to deliberately schedule time in for you to do nothing. Some people, especially in faith traditions, might call this taking a Sabbath, but otherwise, it can be like a personal retreat, or vacation is one, but sometimes people can also be ambitious with vacations. So monitor your level of activity and busyness, especially if you're an idealist type, where you think about what all that you can do. Be on the lookout that you don't actually stuff your schedule with all of these activities where your body could use a lot of rest. It's not going to get a lot of rest until, your body gets sick. So do rest on purpose and your body won't force you to get one. Now, I did silence, solitude, stillness, and the last one is simplicity. Now, again, for me as an idealist, I often focus on what things could be, and so I end up hyper compressing things in a very small window of time, or I daisy chain one activity with the next, or create all these arbitrary preconditions to get a thing done. So I think I'm being productive, but I'm actually procrastinating because I've added in all of these other conditions that don't actually need to be there. So kind of to give you an example, let's say I need to go to the grocery store, and my thought is, well, I'm already going to be out, so I may as well stop by the UPS store and drop off this Amazon package that I need to return anyway. And, while I'm there at the store, how about I listen to this podcast, or how about I also, call up a friend or whatever. I'm like adding too many things onto one thing that could stand alone by itself. So if you find that's your tendency, then it'd be an important discipline, and I'm telling this to myself as well, for you to practice doing one thing at a time, because otherwise your body is going to be screaming on the inside, and it's going to require for numbness to kick in. And when numbness kicks in, often that has it's helpful in the moment, in that it helps us drown out some things that we don't want to pay attention to. But the role of emotions is actually to catch our attention and to deliver a message. So, in short, numbness has the message, there's too much. So what you want to give yourself is less. And the 4 ways of doing so are silence, solitude, stillness, and simplicity. So I want to hear from you. I want you to drop a comment under this video and tell me which of the 4 stands out most to you. Because once we're able to give ourselves what we actually need, then we're less likely to be in reactivity. And when we're less reactive, there's so much more that we can do that's actually beneficial for us and also for other people. So, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you later.